Good morning, fourth grade. Welcome back from many snow days. I hope that you had a good, long, relaxing weekend. We are going to talk about something new today, and I thought it might be nice to do this as a video lesson because there can be a lot of instruction, but there can also be a lot of variation in what each of you do. So I thought that we could talk about this through video. So we are going to talk about how to make a picture look like a realistic landscape, and how can we, we're going to talk about a couple of the different pieces of the landscape separately and have like a practice paper. So I have one practice paper and I have one actual project paper, so you can tell that the project paper is like white paper, and the practice paper, this color is called Manila. It kind of looks like a cream colored paper. And we're going to use this for practice because it's not as inexpensive of a paper. So first of all, you can choose if you want your paper to be up and down or if you want it to be sideways. Sometimes when I draw landscape paintings, I like them to be sideways because I feel like I have more room to put things. But it's your choice. Also, when we talk about a landscape, let's talk about or think about some of the things that might be in a landscape. So when you think of a landscape drawing, first of all, it is a picture of the land, right? If you're drawing a picture of the sea, it's called a seascape. If you're drawing a picture of the city, it's called a cityscape. So when you think of a landscape, you're thinking of like out in the country, maybe in the mountains, maybe hills, waterfalls, lakes, things that you might see not in a city, and not really an ocean scene either, because that would be a... Sorry, there's an announcement. A city would be like the ocean would be like a seascape. Excuse me. So the first thing you want to do on your practice paper, we'll just do a few practices, is you need to have a ground line. So it's a line that separates the ground from the sky. When I draw it, I usually start with one kind of low, and I just draw like a wavy line. I guess I could draw that a little bigger for you guys. I could draw another one behind it, because let's say that the land is kind of hilly and you see different landscapes or different ground lines behind it, so it looks like there's a few hills. So I could overlap a few of these. So now it looks like there's like different hills and they all come down in the valley together. So you can practice a few, they're not usually like this, right? And mountains aren't usually like this, okay? In nature, things are really not so perfect. I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but when you draw in nature, things are not so perfect. So I could draw like hills down here, and I could put mountains in the background, but I'm not gonna draw them all to be a perfect triangle. And I'm not going to draw them to all have a little zigzag of snow on the top. That's not what mountains really look like. So when I draw my mountains, I don't think about it so much. I just think about making like a jaggedy line, and not perfectly. And I overlap them like this. So overlapping is another big word for when you draw landscapes, because things go over top of each other. So if I have my hills down here and I have my mountain up here, maybe I want to draw a tree. So I'm going to erase part of this because I'm going to make my tree look like it's really close up. So I could draw maybe the tree trunk right here, and maybe I want to draw an evergreen tree. So I start and it's kind of triangular like this. And I could do the same thing with colored pencils. If I draw it with colored pencils, it just means it's going to be colored later. So maybe if I'm drawing it with pencil to start, I don't want to draw the whole thing because I don't want to have to erase it all and then go back over top of it with colored pencils. So I'm going to show you in pencil, but you could do this part in colored pencil. All I'm doing is drawing like curved lines that go this way and curved lines that go this way. So... and it gets bigger as it goes further out. So there is one evergreen tree, one type of tree, and it doesn't have to be so perfect, okay? I'll show you on the back side if I was going to draw a real tree, or a normal tree I should say, and ignore this, I'll just show you right here. So you always start with a tree trunk, okay? inside my tree trunk, I can put the letter V. So I'm splitting my tree trunk into 2 branches. You see that? Now I have 2 branches. Okay. Every time after I put a V in the middle of my tree trunk, I need to make my branches grow. So I make this line longer, this line longer, this line longer, this line longer. So I still have 2 branches. It's just that now they're a little longer. So now I can go back and I can put a V in the middle of them. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 branches. So I'm going to make all my lines longer. I can curve them if I want, because trees are not perfectly straight. Maybe I want this one to curve this way. And sometimes I think it's easier if you color it in as you go. Again, you could use colored pencil with it. But it's easier if you color it in as you go, because then you can tell that this part right here is not a tree branch. This part right here is the open space. Okay, so now I'm going to split this branch, put a V in it, split this one right here, there's my V, and split this one, there's my V. So they are getting smaller as I go. But you don't have to make a whole bunch of branches, because that would, I mean, you don't have to make it look like a winter tree. You always split your branches and then you make them a little longer. But when I get to this point right here, I have, let me count them here a minute. We'll color them as we count them. 1 branch, 2 branches, 3 branches, 4 branches, 5, 6, 7, I have 8 branches. I think that's plenty. So now I could make my cloud-like shapes go over top of it. And I just do little clouds and I overlap them all. I think that's a good, easy way to make a pretty realistic tree. Is there ways to advance on that? Yeah, but I think for now, for what we're doing, I think this would be perfectly fine to show some branches that go into the leaves of the tree. Okay, so I could draw one of those on my landscape. I could draw a house on the landscape. We talked about in 4th grade how to make a 3D house. So we talked about starting with a diamond shape. Remember, that was our square on our very first project. We glued down a square, and then we made a down arrow, and we connected the sides. Okay, so I could do that. I could make the garage on the side if I wanted to. And you could make your house however you wanted to. You could put a fence back here if you wanted to. Maybe my fence goes off my paper. I can draw whatever I want in my backyard. So be creative with your landscape drawing. We're going to try and color them in all realistic colors. And when I say realistic colors, it means like you could definitely put like 2 green colors over top of each other, 2 green colored pencils over top of each other, or color this hill like light green, and this hill like a different color green, and this a different color green, and this a different color green, so that they're not all the same color green. So when you get your practice paper done, I do want you to look up on your iPad different types of landscape drawings, and hopefully you'll find like examples that you want to try out. Also, when you're done, you're going to get one of these white papers, and that's when you can go ahead and start on your final paper. But I am going to show you one other type of landscape drawing really quick. I want to show you one that has a lake in it. So let me think here. I'm going to draw like this is going to be the outside edge of the lake. So there's my lake, okay? And I'm going to draw all evergreen trees along here. But I'm going to make like a clearing that goes back here. So it's almost like I draw as a guideline like an X. So this is going to be my sky. These are my trees. This is my lake. Okay? I might have little trees back here too, but since it's so far away, when things get really far away, they get really little. So if I would probably do this first kind of like a guide in pencil, really lightly, I'm just gonna draw some like triangle trees, just like we talked about on the last paper. You can make them little because they're so far away. You could make them overlap if you needed to. And anytime I overlap something, I try to change the colors up so again that they don't all blend in together. I'm gonna use this as a guideline. So my trees are gonna start off this tall. And then I'm gonna make them get taller as they come over. So now I make another tree. And see how they're getting taller? And it's okay that they overlap each other. I'm not worried about that. I could draw grass down here too, so that the edge of my lake has some grass on it. Or you could make some cattails. Okay, like I said, I'm not too worried about it. But when you get closer to the front of your paper, that's when you should have more detail, because it would be like looking really close. So maybe I would see some waves in my water then. And then when I get further back, maybe I don't see as many ripples in my water. But like these trees, they're really little. When they get further closer, they get really big. And I start making these trees with maybe like a real tree trunk now, not just a line. Sorry, you can't see that. There you go. So our goal is trying to make it look as real as possible. I'm going to draw one great big tree right here. There's my tree trunk. It's going to overlap. It's going to go off my paper. And so today we're just trying to get an outline of this. Okay, it does not have to get all the way colored in. So I would do the same thing on this side. So my lake is surrounded by trees. I could draw a little boat out here if I wanted to. Maybe with a person. And I would work on drawing this person. They have a fishing pole. There they go. Maybe they have a hat on. And maybe they have a paddle out in the boat. Okay, so then back here in my sky, I could do a sunset. I could do mountains back here. I could do just a sky, clouds. I could do however I wanted to. Let's say I want to put some mountains back there, like he's fishing in Wyoming or something. There's my mountains. I could put a sunset back there. I could put sky still. Okay, so this is just an idea of how you could put a lake in it. Remember, I started off kind of by making like an X shape through my paper. And then this would be the point where my trees are the smallest and they get bigger according to the X, like this. Okay, and then this would be sky and lake. So that's just one option. If you are having trouble, I hope that wasn't blurry the whole time. Sorry, guys. If you are having trouble coming up with an idea or how to get started, please just raise your hand and I'll come over to you and I will help you get your outline started and get your idea, and then we'll work on it together, okay? But I think that these will turn out really nice if you take your time on them, and they'll be really neat. So I'm hoping that we get some really awesome, realistic landscape pictures. And we will be using colored pencils to color these in. I think they'll give us the most realistic colors instead of markers or crayons. So make sure you're using colored pencils. If you can't find the color or you can't get them sharpened, please come talk to me. I do have some extra ones. So, all right. Hope you have a good day. See you later.